Hi, and welcome to another episode of Latina Leadership Series. On today's episode, I have Desiree here sitting next to me. We're going to talk, as always, I have a few conversations before we come onto the chairs because I like to know the people that I'm talking to. This is the first time I meet Desiree. I have to be honest and upfront. So I was like, before I make her my friend, I have to get to know her a little bit here. So we're here. And on today's episode, I want to talk to Desiree. I want to talk to you, first of all, she's another podcaster, so we're going to talk about your podcast. I want to talk to you about your upbringing, the way I always do, with interviewees. And then we'll touch a little bit on some topics and subjects, and let's see where it goes. Okay. So let's start with... let's start with the podcast. First of all, maybe you should introduce yourself and then who you are and the podcast and that kind of thing.
Yeah. So my name's Desiree Klaus, and I have a platform called Vámonos. Yeah, so my podcast is about supporting small business, advocating for others, and inspiring others as well in the community. So that's what Vámonos is about. Mm-hmm. As far as myself and me, a little bit about me, I've a very creative person, naturally kind of born that way in some sense. Mm-hmm. Love to sing, love to...
Really?
Yeah, I sang from when I was like 9 till...
Like in choir or like real singing, like
choir.
Church?
Church choir. And then, fun fact, I guess you could say, I recorded a demo when I was 18 here in Houston.
Yeah, what kind of music?
It was Selena, of course, obviously. Everybody wants to be Selena. And... I did it was a demo CD of covers. I covered like J-Lo, Selena, Dido, which is like kind of folk.
Yeah.
And I also dabbled in mariachi music. So
really,
I did that for a really long time, and thought I was gonna be a singer, or performer, I guess.
Oh, nice. Yeah. Dang, typically I can ask questions about like,
me a lot of questions.
I did. And usually I get a better understanding, but I did not know you were not. So what happened?
Well,
now I'm curious what happened.
So a lot of my upbringing also I talked to you about was about, know, my parents being really big advocates for the community. Yeah. So I went into college thinking, okay, I'm gonna sing, kind of like a side thing, and but then I'm going to go to school as well. And so going to school, I was more focused on like not school either, I guess you could say. So I was like all over the place, and that,
as we tend to be at that age.
Yes,
yeah.
And I'm, God bless my mother. They did a great job of raising me, but I was a very sheltered child.
Oh.
So
that's right.
I know. So
welcome to the dark side.
Yes. So going out into the real world was a bit of a culture shock.
Okay.
And so I was kind of like all over the place my first 2 years of college. And coming back, I was like, okay, I'm gonna.
Where'd you go to school?
I went to UTSA.
Okay.
The first 2 years.
Okay. Yeah.
Which is University of Texas San Antonio. Came back and I was like, okay, that didn't work out. Let's do some other stuff. So really started looking into becoming a lawyer, like I said, because my parents were really big into advocacy. So I was like, I'm going to be a lawyer. But I've always been a creative person. Yeah. So like even when I was going to college, I was like doing art classes and like taking painting and all kinds of stuff.
You're always using the left. Is it the left side of your brain where it's the creative side? Is that or the right one? I don't know. So you were using the other side of the brain more.
And the funny thing about that is I'm left-handed.
Okay. Oh wow. Okay.
So I was always using my creative side. But I also really enjoyed all those other things as well. Like, the kind of like critical thinking, problem solving.
Yeah. Are you like the kind of person that like researches everything?
Yes.
And goes in depth to things, and you're like 2 hours later, you like know what feels like useless information of something, and you're like, just in case when the topic comes up, I know what the fuck I'm talking. That is so me. Maybe that's like it's like a projection that we have as the youngest child of like the family. We're like, oh, maybe they always think maybe that's me. Maybe it was my family, my sisters and brother who are like, you're dumbass. And I'm like, no, I'm not. I know things.
I don't know. I just loved learning about anything.
Yeah, so did I. I would be obsessed. And I would hate it when they would throw away the box to the cereal because that meant there was nothing for me to look at or read while I was like eating. It was just cereal, of course. But then I would grab like packets of things that I just read ingredients or read what you can cook and how long things would take, like the rice packets or the bean pack, like you know what I mean? They have like how to like the directions.
Yeah.
I was obsessed with like reading that stuff, not because I wanted to know, but because I just had to know how long did beans take to cook, how long does rice take to cook, and things like that. But so anyway, so you're being creative and you're going down this route of, okay, this is what I want to do and this is what I want to be. We kind of touched a little bit about the things that you've done, but what I really want to hit on is, how did you get started?
As far as what I do now?
You start where you want.
Oh, okay.
you pick up where you want.
Yeah, so I got started in 2018 when I started blogging. That's kind of where I really started. I always say the blogging got me into where I'm at now.
Yeah, as it usually does. Yeah.
Yes, yeah. And so doing that, I started looking into my community, trying to find people to support, help, which is what I kind of grew up with, right? Mm-hmm. Parents supporting, helping people. Yeah. Doing all of that. And I'm getting up in age. Mm-hmm. And I was like, I need to start doing some of that. Like, that was something that I guess I was missing in my own personal life. Mm-hmm. Always working the 9 to 5, having the mom job, having the career, having the husband, having this, happy life or whatever, whatever that might be. But yeah, so I was like, I want to do something like fun, like different, to still kind of be that creative person. And singing was my outlet when I was younger. So I would sing all the time. I, kind of strange, but I would get asked to sing at funerals a lot because I would sing the Ave Maria. Oh. Yeah, because I did church music. And so I would sing like at funerals and stuff like that. And but as I got older, specifically in 2017 was when my dad passed away, and he was sick. And so trying to find an outlet for myself, creative outlet, I was like trying to reconnect with that person that used to sing, but it was not the same person, because now I'm like almost 40 and got this whole new life.
Yeah, something happens around that age.
Yeah, I don't know what it is. It started at 35 for me.
Really?
Yeah, at 35.
It was 38 for me.
Oh, wow.
I started seeing 40, and I was like, something's happening, and I couldn't figure it out. And finally, somebody told me, Angelica, you stop it. It's gonna happen. You're gonna turn 40. Yeah. So whatever it is, you're going to figire it out quick.
Well, mine started like at 35, and I was like, which I'm kind of glad, because I feel like now that when
you eased into it.
Yeah. So when I turn 40, which will be this November this year, it's going to be more of like...
Is it surreal when you say that?
A little bit. Yeah. Yeah, because I still feel like that 6-year-old little girl running around barefooted, playing outside, singing all the time. Like, I still feel like that person.
Do you feel like that was the height of your life? Like at 6 years old, like you remember it well and happy?
It was definitely a very different life than I have now. Yeah. No worries, no cares. Yeah. Just
mine was when I was like in like my 20s, like that that time where I just like I knew myself well. Yeah. And like that's where I feel like I still feel like I'm somehow still 20, and my kid, my son, my only son, I have one. He's 19, and I look at him and I'm like, that was around the age that I really started to get to know myself. And so I feel like I'm stuck there, and I'm like, okay, I feel like I need to mature. Maybe there's some maturing that I need to do. And I think that's what I was like missing, that I was so worried about turning 40. And I was like, I need to navigate it fast. I need to figure out what this is happening. But so it was coming upon you. You're sitting there and you're thinking to yourself, okay, Desiree, you need an outlet. You need to find an outlet. You start the blog.
Yeah.
So I
had kind of like the reverse situation. I felt like for me, I was like, I need to get back in touch with that child, that little girl that loved,
I see what you're saying.
That little girl that loved to perform to some extent,
be creative.
I would have like fashion shoots in my driveway. Like I would change clothes, come out, change clothes, and literally act like that was the runway. So for me, it was like reconnecting with that person that was creative, that the most creative, right? And when you're that young, you probably are the most creative.
Yeah, you don't care.
Yeah, you don't care what anybody thinks or says. And so when I really started to kind of like have that reflection of like, okay, connect with that person that loved to do that.
Yeah.
Then everything else kind of like, oh, Desiree, you know how to do this.
Yeah.
This is you. This is just who you really are. You've just been not necessarily suppressing it, but you know, life comes into play. Like I said, getting married, having kids, having a husband, having responsibilities, you know, dealing with the death of my dad, all of these things, and trying to navigate that. But I've always been that creative little girl. It just kind of got pushed down as the years have gone by. Now I feel like who I am now is exactly who I've always been. Of just letting it shine, finally letting it shine, and letting it come out in a positive way. I hope, right, in a way that people can aspire to themselves. You know, I think all of us, we have that form. Yours was at a different age, but you know, we've all been there where that's the highlight. How do we get back to it?
I feel like it's the master of your own self. Like you know yourself well, and for whatever reason you go back to it and you're like, what was I thinking, or what was happening in my life that it just felt like me. It was me. It was always me, like you said, and I love being there. But so you're being creative, and then you're doing the blog, and then you subside to the blog to do podcasting.
Yeah. So I was kind of like in this mode of like blogging and writing are really not my forte. So I was like, I like using my voice, and as a person who loved to sing, like I used my voice a lot. And so I was like, how do I use my voice but in a different way? And so getting into social media and going more to the visual and the audio, it was more like, okay, this is exactly where you're going to feel the most comfortable, and also feel like this is genuinely me. Blogging was more like just I guess what is the saying? How the saying goes? It just looks good on paper to some extent. You know. And
it's nice to say. It's nice to say. Like, you blog and you write. I'm a writer. I blog. I learned all the things. I learned how to put up the website. Like, it's a process. People think it's simple, and it's not. God damn it! No. Like, blogging is blogging. Dude. So we were blogging for 10 years. Like, when your website is down, your website is down. And when things happen behind the scenes, people don't understand. I think some people think even running social accounts, even if somebody else owns it, like Instagram owns your account, Facebook owns it, whatever, that you still have to learn it. It's still a process. Like, there's a lot happening behind the scenes. So yeah, like, hooray to you. Hell yeah. But so you're there, you're blogging, and then you do an interview. Right?
Yes. I told Angelica about kind of what ended up, like, it was like that light bulb moment, I guess you could say. So I'm blogging. I'm in this transitioning period of like trying to figure out, okay, what's my next move? This was at the end of 2019. And my husband, he was like, hey, there's a Latina wrestler who is going to be in the Houston area. He's like, I think you should try to interview her. And I one of the things I didn't tell you was I actually asked her, like, I think like a week in advance.
Okay.
That was like the most advance I'd given her. A week is not a lot of
No, it's not.
It's not a lot of time. So no. I was like, okay, well, let's just kind of shoot my shot, you know, I'm gonna just try it. I slid into her DMs, and
as we all do.
Yeah. And she said, yeah, sure, why not? Yeah. She's like, come to the meetup, and we'll talk before the show. And anybody that knows that's ever been to a wrestling match, they they have like a little kind of like a meet and greet before.
Okay, I've never been to one, so
yeah, so they'll do like a little meet and greet before, and it was a all female show, so all the wrestlers were female, which was kind of this path that I was going on as well. Women empowerment, wanting to feature women and also support them as well. So I was like, oh, that's so cool. It was actually called Ladies Night Out. That is what the show was called. And so we're talking, me and her chatting or whatever, and she's like, hey, where do you want to record this? Like, and I was like, she's talking about like recording it with a camera.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking like record it with my like, you know, like a just voice recorder.
A digital voice recorder.
Digital voice recorder, yeah. And I was like, oh, she wants to do it like that. And so I texted my husband really quick. He was at the bar getting a beer. I was like, hey, she wants us to record this. Like, I need you to come be my cameraman. He's never been a cameraman. He's never done anything like this. So, like, in 10 minutes, I'm like, okay, just make sure we're in the frame. Like, try not to be, like, too crazy. Just make sure we're in the frame. Don't move. Like, don't sneeze. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Don't talk. Don't move.
Don't like, you know, clear your throat or anything. And because it was kind of in an open area and there was some background noise. So luckily I did come prepared. I had questions and it wasn't the first time I had done an interview either. Like I just done them in a different way.
Yeah.
And I'm in the interview, like doing all of the intro, doing the questions. And it was like the most peaceful moment for me. It was just like all of a sudden a switch just goes off and you're like there.
Yeah.
And in 10 minutes she changed my life.
Yeah.
That was how long the interview was, 10 minutes.
Yeah.
And she even cried in the interview because she was talking about some things that were so personal for her about her journey. And I also mentioned, like, you know, she didn't ask me like how many followers I had, how long had I been blogging or writing or anything. She just saw an opportunity for her to share her journey and to share it to another Latina. Yeah. Like, why not? She was like very gung-ho, like, let's do this. Like, and she inspired me that day to really also do that for myself. Okay, it's, you know, you got to share your story, you got to share your journey, and it doesn't really, not that it doesn't matter who you share it to, but there are going to be people that want to hear it, and there are going to be people that care to hear it, and they're going to support you. And that's what I did with that interview. I shared it. I learned like editing like in 2 days, like trying to edit this video. I had never edited a video before. And it was also a time when IG wouldn't let you do more than 10 minutes. Oh. So it was like 10 minutes and like so many seconds.
So you like chop it down a little bit.
Yeah, and I was like, how do I do that? Like, I don't know how to do this. And so that was my very first in-person video recorded impromptu interview.
You know, the universe has a very funny way of showing you the path when you're like can't figure it out, or you know, and it has a very fucked up and funny way of just pushing you in. So it's like, you ever feel like, or I don't ever know if I've ever told this story on here or not, but when I was dating this guy years ago, and he was dropping me off at home, he and I was mad, and I kept telling myself, like, I don't want to date him. Why do I keep inviting him? Why do I keep saying yes? Like, what is my problem, damn it? I remember opening the door, and this dumbass ended up we're parked really close to the ditch, and it's just so happened to be raining like the day before or a couple of like hours prior. So I open the door and I fall straight into the ditch, and I am pissed. I am fucking pissed. And he's laughing, and I'm like, you didn't even fucking bother getting off the fucking car to fucking say, hey, how are you? He's just laughing. I was like, you know what? I'm never, ever. So the universe has a very funny and sometimes very fucked up way of showing you this is what you're supposed to do. And I think the universe was like, let her believe she's going to video record me. So when Desiree comes up, Desiree's like, oh shit, this is an opportunity. It's asking me to think fast on my feet. It's telling me I need to do what I need to do. And you just you're like, I did it. But in that moment where you're like nervous and you're like, oh my God, and you're the stressful situation, you're like, I need you, cameraman, husband, put down your beer, come help me now. And there's something that happens, and it happens to me here sometimes, even when I'm recording, where everything just stops. The conversation is flowing, you're interacting, you're connecting, nothing matters. You talk about the ambient noise, but you don't even remember the ambient noise, like it's happening. And you're like, I'm here, I'm recording here, I'm connecting because I have a message. There's something I want to say. And I think that's what happened. Like it like things just kind of align. Mm-hmm. And so you show up, so you interview her, and you're like, this is what I want to do.
I was literally, after that, so inspired. Mm-hmm. It was the light bulb that said, Desiree, not only this is what I want to do, this is what you're supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
Because, like I said, I was very at calm and very peaceful and very just like, I can do this.
Yeah.
And never once saying, even though I hadn't done it before, never mm-hmm. thinking, I can't do this. Mm-hmm. Like, that was never a thought in my mind that I
see my blood run cold, even like hearing that, because I know that, I understand that. And like, you never like doubted yourself in that moment. You're like, this is me. Mm-hmm. This is what I do.
And she trusted me too.
Yeah.
She didn't even realize that she gave me that confidence just by even saying yes.
Yeah.
Just for me to even meet her and talk with her.
Yeah.
For those that aren't in the wrestling industry, she is now probably one of the most famous Latina wrestlers now.
Who?
Like, when I met her then, uh-huh. she had a good following. Mm-hmm. She had a very good following. Now she is up there.
What's her name again?
So her wrestling name is Thunder Rosa.
Okay.
But her real name is Melissa. Uh-huh. And I call her by Thunder Rosa, though. And she is also a Mexican immigrant. Mm-hmm. And she was born in Tijuana. Mm-hmm. And she comes out wearing the American and Mexican flag together. Mm-hmm. She's very proud of her culture. She mm-hmm. wears half skull face mm-hmm. painted on. And in that interview, she talks a little bit about how she kind of had to really connect with her culture mm-hmm. and stop trying to, like, oh no, I'm not just Mexican, or I'm not just a Latina, like. Mm-hmm. But then she realized, no, I've got to connect with my people, mm-hmm. and she just was so inspiring, and and that's kind of also what I heard for myself. So mm-hmm. like, Let's Vámonos is about also promoting and connecting with the Latin community, mm-hmm. And specifically small business. Mm-hmm. And so I've actually been doing that myself, is connecting with the Latin community and sharing their stories and their journeys, and not just their small businesses, but also their personal journeys. Mm-hmm. Some that have had suffered with domestic violence mm-hmm. or cancer, or just health issues, or whatever their issues or part of their journey was.
Yeah.
So I always look back at that moment and go, okay, that was like the light bulb moment for mm-hmm. me. But something I hadn't shared with you was, I also realized that God had been kind of like preparing me for all of this. Mm-hmm. So I had been practicing all my life and never knew it.
Yeah.
And the reason why I say that is because at the age of 9, I was singing in the choir. Mm-hmm. But I was also a lector at church, which is I would read scripture in front of, on the altar in front of the congregation. Mm-hmm. And I asked my mom, hey, I want to do that. Mm-hmm. How do I do that? Because my parents did that. They were really involved in church. I was raised Catholic, hardcore Catholic. Okay. Like, seriously. Remember I told you I was sheltered. So I said, I want to do that. And I wanted to read scripture. And so at 9 years old, they're putting up a little pedestal for me to reach the mic
How cute.
to read scripture. And looking back now, I did that from when I was 9 till adulthood. Mm-hmm. And I realized God has been preparing me. I was practicing so many Sundays a week mm-hmm. for this moment now. Mm-hmm. Try not to get emotional, but yeah. And that was really that was the second light bulb that I've had just recently. Mm-hmm. I read a quote saying, God gives you the confidence to do whatever you have to do. Mm-hmm. And then I realized, where did I get my confidence from? Mm-hmm. Yeah, my mom I was blessed with a really good mom. She gave me self-affirmations. Mm-hmm. But looking back, when I would read scripture, I had that moment of peace. Mm-hmm. I had that moment of confidence that I was speaking this word that had a lot of power right? And so now I really kind of in tune that as well with what I do, because one, some of us don't realize how much power our voice has, and then right, maybe we hurt people's feelings, or we inspire people to do really awesome things. So I had that second light bulb moment, and I'm talking about like probably within the last couple of months. Like I didn't even realize that I had literally been practicing all my life for what I'm doing now. And because a lot of people sometimes look at people who do podcasting and all of that stuff like, oh, you make it look so easy, right? Yeah, it is easy, but it's easy for me because of all of the things that I've done in the last 39 years of my life. Well, not 39, but like 30 years of my life, right? So that's the reason why it's easy. Yeah. I mean, what 9-year-old not normal, but I guess average 9-year-old would want to say, hey, I want to go read scripture at the church where everybody's looking at you,
staring at you, listening to your words. Yeah.
And for me, that was like, no, it was literally a peaceful moment.
It sounded like you always known that you were going to be a vessel of some sort of message at some point. I think that is profound too. That's amazing to recognize it now. Sometimes we negate to think that we didn't prepare for things, right? We think, oh my God, my life is, I'm here, I'm there, I'm bouncing back and forth. I can't figure it out. I don't know things. I don't know what I'm doing. But little do you know, like, when we tune in, we see, and it finally hits us like, oh, this is what I feel, even if it's for the moment, but this is what I'm supposed to be doing right now. Yeah. So we're talking about Let's Vámonos, and you're doing this. What do you feel you want to accomplish for the rest of the year?
Oh man, that's a
loaded question.
That's a loaded question. Oh. Yeah, for sure. Because really, I'm like still like working like month to month, content planning for like month to month. Honestly, at the end of the year, I would love to say that I had been able to do, the minimum 12 in-person interviews.
Okay.
When I first started, I was doing interviews monthly, and I was kind of working my way up. Last year, I did some in-person and then some through IG Live or Zoom, and I did a total of 27 interviews. I went from 12 to 27. This year, of course, I want to hit the 12. I want to do more than that, though. Yeah. But now I'm doing in-person. So, God willing, we don't have any more, thorns coming up for whatever. But I'm like, okay, Desiree, if you're going to do in-person, you started out doing 12, you did 27 last year. I'm about to hit, my 30th interview. So I guess for me specifically, it's a goal to maybe hit like 50 interviews. That would be like a personal goal for me. As far as like,
in total,
okay.
In total. I was like, dang, 50 interviews in 1 year.
No,
all right.
No.
Hey, I'm there supporting you, man.
Yeah. But as far as like the other, that's more like, I guess, number side, right? Yeah. But as far as the vision, right? I want to come out just inspiring as many people as possible. Okay. Because I haven't shared a lot of this with a lot of people because it is part of my vision. But I do realize I have to put it out there, right? If I want it to really come to life. Yeah. My goal for me is to come out being the first Latina late night talk show host. Okay. That is my goal.
That's your goal.
That is my goal. And so, that I want to do Texas first, obviously. That vision came to me last year before I started 2022. I was like, there's no Latinas doing late night talk shows. There are some women, very few. But why aren't there not any Latinas? And like, there's so many of us that are doing what is on trend, right? Yeah. We wanna fill that niche, whether it's on TikTok or Instagram. IG, social media.
Yeah.
And for me, I'm like, I want something bigger than that.
Yeah.
I don't want to limit myself.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And I don't also want to do something just because it's trending and it's going to make me popular. Because sometimes those things make you popular for the things that you don't even really enjoy. I've had people say, I don't really like doing the TikToks, but now I have to kind of do them because
they gain the exposure that I need. Yeah.
But is it sharing the message that they're trying to send?
Yeah.
Right. So me, I do a lot of original content. I actually have another page called Chingona and the Burbs, where it's my alter ego.
Okay.
It's like
I have a few of those. Yeah.
Yeah. And she is a news anchor who reports about the Chingona and the Burbs that's like maybe having a bad day.
Okay.
Or,
Do you show your face?
Yes.
Okay.
Mad at the world or, effing the patriarchy, all of that kind of stuff. That's definitely like my alter ego because I'm really a nice person. I am really sweet, but I do have that that edge, right? That edgy side. So when that kind of content came out, I was like, that's kind of like late night talk show stuff.
It is,
where people and I was like, putting all of these things together. Okay, I like to do interviews. I like to talk to people. I like to support people, promote people, advocate, talk about whatever, have these conversations. But I also like to do a lot of the fun stuff too. So in Let's Vámonos, this new season that I just started in January, I do the interviews, but I also do a Chingona and the Burbs in there. And I also... also on my Let's Vámonos page, I do a car rider mom confessional. So I also do that kind of content, which is more like personable. It's more relatable because I am a car rider mom.
Yeah.
Like, I might do interviews here and there, but I am still picking up my children.
At the car line.
In the car line, yeah.
Yeah.
And so, but yeah, that is the vision for me. And whether I'm the first or someone else, I'm just putting it out there because I want people that are like me, other Latinas, to realize that we have to stop thinking small. We have to stop putting ourselves in this box. We have to stop thinking that it's too big of a dream. Like, I want us to think that, no, we are definitely capable of doing that.
Yeah.
I mean, look at Selena.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
She started... as this little girl singing with her family, and has literally became the biggest Tejano star ever.
Years and years after her death. Yeah.
Yeah. So for me, if I continue, actually going into this new year, if I was like, oh, I'll just continue to do the IG lives and the Zooms, and maybe do this, I think I probably would be, not being the best true to myself, and also realizing that I'm not also speaking my own voice and doing what I try to inspire other people to do, right? To dream big and to share their journey. So that and when I first even talked about it with my mom just privately, she was just like, oh my God, that's like crazy. Like, not crazy like in a bad way, but like, That's big. And because I know so many amazing, talented women out there that are doing amazing things, but I think some of us are just waiting for somebody to tell us, oh, you should do this, or expecting it to come from mainstream.
Yeah, or from the outside world to tell us what we're good at, and what we should be doing.
And what we're good at and what we should be doing. And literally, I have told myself, I'm not going to wait for somebody to say, you should be doing this or you should be doing that. I'm going to make it happen myself, however that is going to be, however that looks like. Yeah. It might not be perfect, right? It might be a little rocky. It has been a little rocky. But if I don't just try, like, heck.
There's absolutely nothing wrong for aiming and then shooting at that aim. There's nothing wrong.
Right.
And how many times you actually do, or whether you succeed or not, there's enough like arrows to be able to aim at the target. Like there's always enough. But You know, when they say that when we want to do some things, we're always only 2 degrees separated from that thing that we want. So I can see it. I can see, like, maybe you start as a correspondent.
Yeah.
And maybe you start going down that road. Like, I see it.
Yeah.
Like, it looks,
For me, it's like, why not?
Yeah.
Right? All of these men that have gotten their jobs, you know, they have done the exact same journey as anybody has, right?
Yeah.
They started somewhere.
Yeah.
Whether it's me starting here and doing it on my own, and then, you know, meeting the right people or connecting with the right people, that's fine with me. I have to just continue to keep having that vision, having that drive, and to realize that for me personally, like, I know I'm meant to do more and bigger things.
Yeah.
And I really want to inspire other Latinas to think the same way, to know that, you know, we don't have to think small, or we don't have to be, afraid to shine. And so, I mean, and the crazy thing is, for me personally, I've always kind of felt like that too. And I've connected with other women that have felt like that. Like, I've had women say, I always knew I was meant to do bigger things. I don't know what it is, but I know I'm meant to do bigger things.
Yeah.
And I've felt that way myself. Like, there's just this energy inside of me that I know that whatever I put my mind to and just doing it, that I'm going to succeed, and that God's going to have my back no matter what. Like, he's going to be there for me. And he has been showing me so many things over the last 6 months about me, about the people that I've connected with, and kind of just saying, like, okay, Desiree, I'm going to show you. You want to connect with this person. Yeah. Okay, we'll connect with this person. I'm going to show you, though. I'm going to show you maybe why you shouldn't be working with this person, even though you want to.
Yeah, that happens too.
Yeah, and that's been the really hard part, honestly, for me.
It does. It gets tough.
Because I'm like trying to fit a circle into a square peg. Yeah. It's like, ain't going to happen. Yeah. And I've literally had to kind of slow down. And that's actually one of the things that I've done for 2022 is people think, oh, I'm taking it to the next level. That means I'm going to be go, 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 go. Yeah. No. It's different. It's actually slowing down. Yeah. Being more conscious of the choices and decisions that I'm making for my platform. And for the most part, I do listen to him a lot. I listen to him a lot. He speaks to me a lot, and very in tuned and intuitive. And sometimes it's a little scary because I'm like, man, you just showed me this, and like, I'm listening to you, and it's like this moment of just like truth. And so I have to kind of like be like, okay, I'm going to do this. I'm going to listen to you. You're telling me to do this. But I'm a stubborn woman sometimes. I'm like, well, maybe we could do it this. Yeah. Nope. Ain't going to work. Yeah.
Yeah, we all get like that sometimes. We all have our ways of like working around the things. But I see it, Desiree. Like, I see it. I definitely do see it. I mean, I think there's like, my mind is thinking to like, you know what, who I should introduce her to? Maybe if I introduce her to so-and-so, maybe they can connect, and maybe like show, at least like have coffee. So, you know what I mean? Like, my mind, like, I understand in my world that, maybe people don't see it, but like sometimes behind the scenes, like, I'm always like putting, and my husband tells me this all the time too. He's like, you have this way of being like, y'all two need to talk. You two need to, and I don't mind that. I don't care. Like, I tell my friends all the time, like when we're going to places, like I'm that loud person who I don't mind walking up to the booth and asking questions and going so and so and so and so. And I've heard this several times where they're like, you just do what you need to do. I was like, yeah. I was like, but I don't mind turning to my friend and be like, and by the way, this is my friend and she does da 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 da, because here's the thing, if they don't need me, they might be able to use her. And I love walking around with women and talking to women and introducing to women to people who are like at the playing field of like those tables who have conversations to make choices, right? To be like, you need to, here is who I am and this is what I do and da da da. And by the way, this is my friend and this is what she does. I love doing that. There's absolutely nothing that falls sour for me to do that. To be like, even if we never like talk, even if me and this woman never talk again,
right?
Even if we fall out, I don't care, because I hope that whatever opportunity is given to somebody that might look and sound like me, and like, you know what I mean, that kind of grew up like me. For all I know, it could have been like a neighbor girl, and we all kind of lived the same life. And I'm like, this bring up that we had sucked, dude. Like, how, if the doll's not for me, that's fine, as long as it's like given to somebody that looks and sounds like me. And maybe that's selfish. That it's somebody that looks and sounds like me. But I do see it as a right.
I don't think it's selfish at all. And so let me give you a little bit of backstory of kind of where some of this has come from as well. Mm-hmm. So in 2020, well, obviously pandemic was hitting and all of that. Of course, we still have to say that for now until forever. Yeah. The Latino Film Festival was going to be hosted here in Houston. So I signed up. I signed up. I told my mom. My mom's a writer. I told her we're signing up because they're going to have a segment or a class about how to write a TV show.
Oh.
And I was like, Mom, we have to do this. And she was like, okay. So we signed up. Of course, everything got canceled. Actually, it just showed up again in my feed that they're hosting another one.
Okay.
I think towards the end of March or something like that. And I was like, okay. I hadn't looked at it yet. But that was like also a part of something I was like, I want to see more people like me.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I want to see also just that opportunity as well. And so I was really sad that we didn't get to do that, but I told my mom, we can still do it. Like, we can still write a story together, create this concept. We can still do these things. And the funny thing is, I'm a lot like my dad. My dad was that dreamer. He was that person. So he was also one of my biggest supporters and fans, I guess you could say, of when I would sing and stuff. And so, but my mom was more of the like, can't you just go get like a 9-to-5 somewhere? You know, like, why do you
be safe?
Yeah, be safe. And so now I've actually kind of influenced her a little bit. To be like, okay, let's go do this, or let's go do that, or let's go,
It's funny how that happens when you say, hey, I'm going to do this, and you do it, and they're like, hey, we can do this. Yeah.
And so she was really excited to be a part of that. And moving forward from that, actually, for her, she actually started doing things that were out of her box after that.
Nice.
So I was kind of like, okay, cool. But writing a TV show, having those types of things, talking about having representation, having somebody that looks like me, sounds like me, that was really important.
Yes, because our experiences are going regardless. I know earlier we talked about like the brought up of the name and kind of your reservations because you don't speak the language, right? But what I cannot deny from you and what I cannot take away from you is you're going to experience life the same way I do around strangers. People don't know what the fuck to do with me sometimes. I depending on how I dress and how I look, they talk to me differently. They're like, this girl looks like why is she not, when I'm in Arkansas, because we were talking about Arkansas, they're like, where is this city girl, this like neighborhood girl going? You know what I mean? Like I can never take, because I know my experiences are going to look a lot similar to you based simply on the fact that your name, your parents' last name, your name or whatever, the skin color. That we cannot change.
Nope.
I don't know if you ever experienced this, but like sometimes when you go to the grocery store and you're dressed a little certain, you look a little different. Sometimes they're like, speak a little louder to you, like you can't understand the language. And I'm like, I heard you. But I can never take that away from you. Even if you don't speak the language, I know our experiences are the same.
Right.
They're always going to be the same, or we're always going to be intertwined and connected like that. And so has always and will always be my goal as a Latina, and why I do the Latina Leadership Series, because no matter how sorry my upbringing was or how yours was, today, right now, right here, we are equal, based simply on the fact that we're Latinas, and we're walking to spaces, and we're always going to be Latinas to people. Mm-hmm. And so if I have to walk in, we have to walk in holding hands. And we're completely separate. I don't know your name. I will walk into spaces holding your hand, because we cannot be separated. I will not be separated from Latinas. So where do I go on these tangents?
No. And it's funny you say that, because growing up as a kid, I was in a predominantly white community. Mm-hmm. I was predominantly one of the only few Latinas in my class. Mm-hmm. There was never more than one. It was either me and maybe another little boy, but it was never more than one. And, having that... having some conversations with my teachers, with my mother and my teachers would have some very strange conversations that you probably wouldn't think that would happen with a normal little white girl. Yeah. One of my teachers told my mom, "You need to tell your daughter not to raise her hand so much." My mom said, "Excuse me?" And if anybody knew my mom, oh gosh, she knew how to raise hell. Yeah, she still knows how to raise hell. Good. Yes, she was like, "What do you mean? Tell her not to raise her hand?" "Well, she raises her hand all the time, and sometimes she doesn't answer correctly, and and." My mom's like, I'm still trying to figure out where the problem is. Yeah. Like, and so, I had some teachers that seemed, I thought, that were nice, nice enough. But then having these conversations with my parents privately, telling them she is too confident to some extent, and my mom was like, I'm not going to tell her that. I'm like, yeah. So when you say, us being this brown skinned girls, it really is. I mean, it really is what it is. And I'm married to a white guy, and I would never think about being treated differently because I'm in a mixed marriage. But we've been treated differently at times. Unknowingly. Sometimes we even ourselves are kind of like blind to it. Yeah. We're just like, what is that? And then looking back, I'm like, you know what? I think it was this, and that. Yeah.
Oh, that was strange. Yeah. It always starts like that. Oh, that felt strange. That was different. It does happen. It does happen around us. And we notice it since we started traveling a lot. We did a lot of road trips, and we end up hitting a lot of small towns. And so we do kind of get the stares. I walk in and all depending, sometimes I'm kind of doing content, and so I get dressed up a little bit, and sometimes I exaggerate some of my my look, Sometimes my eyeliner is way winged out, and I'm walking in with heels or boots or whatever it may be, and I'm walking in and I get the turned around, but I don't get that here. I don't get it when I walk around here. I look like I'm Jenny from the block, man. No, I look like I'm from the hood. It is what it is, but I do get that experience, and it's not. It kind of sucks sometimes, It does. It kind of sucks, and so
especially in those small towns too, because you're like, oh God, you're still sheltered. You're in a sheltered life, right? And funny story, my brother actually lived in Georgia for a period of time, and I went to go visit him, and he lived in Macon, Georgia, which is central Georgia. We went to the movies together, and the Latin community there at the time was very small. I don't know what it is now, but it was really small. So we went to the movies, and the usher, the young boy that was going to let us in, he's staring at me like really hard. And he goes, "You're not from here, are you?" I was like, no. Like, but I didn't really know what he meant by that. Like, no, I'm not Georgian, or no, I'm not white. Like, I didn't understand. I was kind of like, and my brother had told us some experiences about some of the experiences he's had with living there as well. But the boy questioned me. He wanted to know, like, you're not from here. You're from somewhere else. I've never seen anybody that looks like you to some extent. And I was like, I told my brother, he's never seen a Latina, like a Mexican girl, ever? Like, in person? Like, to me, that's, like, shocking.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, probably there. At that time.
Right.
There at that day.
Time.
At that something.
Yeah.
When you mess up people's moments, like if they drive somewhere and they expect it. And it's like, oh, yeah. But when it's different and you're walking around, you're looking different, right? I was like in Arkansas, and this is a completely different community for me. And I'm walking around, and I have my bright, like, white with neon, like yellow neon, like slashes of like shoes, and like bright red lipstick, and I'm like walking around. I don't realize what I'm doing until I'm moving, and I'm trying not to look at my peripheral, right? But I'm moving, and I see people's head moving along with me, and I'm like, you do that, you're like, hi. We're aware we can see each other, right? This is happening.
Yeah.
I see you. You see me. Like, and sometimes I'll get the look up and the look at, and then the smile, and I appreciate that. And it's like, oh, hi. And they're like, oh, you look different. And I'm like, yeah. I don't usually hang around, places where white people hang out, but I love museums, so I can't help it, sir. I'm here. Okay. I'm here. There's nothing I can do about this. But I get those experiences, and going back to the conversation of yes, always and forever, this is what I'm going to do. And it doesn't matter to me that we have to keep pushing each other. And the only way, and I figured it out, the only way that Latinas are going to get places apparently is we start pulling each other there. So that this is, and I think Les Vámonos is an amazing platform that you're creating. I've listened to some interviews. I've watched you grow a little bit along the way, because we interact, we watch each other along the way, and you're doing amazing things, Desiree. And I think you're going to get there. I think you're going to be. I for sure believe you're going to get there.
Thank you. I appreciate that, because sometimes it can get a little lonely, right?
Yeah, it does.
Social media is definitely has its good and its bad.
Yeah,
but. I always have to remember why I'm doing it, right, as well. Like, I want to share all of me to some extent. And that's actually one of the reasons why I reached out to you, because I realized I wasn't doing a really good job on my page of sharing me. I was like sharing everybody else.
Yeah, we do that.
But not really sharing me. And and I did give myself that space on the Car Rider Mom Confessional. But still, that's still a different side of me as well.
Yeah.
And so when I reached out to you, I was like, okay, I need to be open enough to share me, whatever, any part of me, whatever that is, so people can kind of see a little bit of whatever maybe they might be questioning or have questions about, or insight.
Yeah.
Give them some insight. I'm not as white girl as some people think. I mean, I do love Linda Ronstadt. I grew up listening to her. Actually, that's how I learned mariachi music. Was Linda Ronstadt.
Is she like a popular mariachi?
Yes.
Okay.
She actually.
I'm so unfamiliar with that
Linda
genre.
Ronstadt's actually someone like me. So she is a Latina, but she grew up singing in pop, like mainstream.
Oh, okay.
And she ended up doing a mariachi album. And I was like, okay, I had always listened to like other music, but mostly males, right? Male singers. And so I was like, that was like my first kind of introduction to mariachi music sung by a woman. And I was like, oh, this is awesome.
Yeah.
So like I learned all of her songs and just enjoyed learning. And even though I didn't know the language, I learned the language through just singing the music, just like Selena, right? Selena had to learn. And I learned also speaking a little bit of Spanish or learning Spanish through singing Selena music as well. And but that's how I connected with her, because she was a Latina that even she wasn't a brown-skinned girl, but she was a folk singer, and she was in the kind of up in the 70s, I think. And remember, my parents were a little bit older, so they were immersed in all the music of American, but also like, you know, still listen to their cumbia, still listen to all of those, and they're actually more Tejano,
norteñas, tejanos, mariachi, all the great stuff that you listen to when you walk into a Mexican restaurant.
Yes. My parents were really involved in church as well, and so my mom was actually the quinceañera coordinator. So when I was at church,
okay,
so we'd get invited to all the quinceañeras, all the weddings. Like, I kid you not, almost every weekend I was either
at a party,
at a quinceañera or a wedding. Like, because my parents knew people from church, and they'd be like, oh, you want to come?
They sound like they were very involved in the community.
Oh, yes.
In all aspects.
Always, yes, in all ways. And I kind of, not reprimand my mom so much, but just kind of tell her, you know, you gave so much to your community, and it took away from a lot of their personal goals. So, like, my mom wanted to travel with my dad. They didn't do a lot of that while they were younger because they were so involved in the community. My mom always thought, oh, we'll retire and we'll go travel then. Well, my dad gets sick. You know, all these things start, and then she realizes we're never going to travel. I mean, she got her passport and I think she got her passport in 2010 and then didn't use it until 2018. So, I mean,
this was after your dad's passing.
Yeah, after my dad's passing. So, yeah, like, that was a big
lesson.
It's a big lesson for me as well, to be like, okay, you can't wait. I can't wait until my kids are grown up for me to try to do my goals.
To figure this out.
Yeah. Like, I'm going to have to do it now.
Yeah.
And as much as I love my children and I want to be there and also help them reach their goals.
Yeah. They learn by watching. My son told me that, and I was like, by the time I was doing things, he was like, Mom, I like the things that you do, and I'm learning. And I'm like, oh, fuck.
You're like, oh, you're actually paying attention. Yeah.
Yeah. They live with us. It dawned on me later. Yeah.
And my 10-year-old, he wants to do a podcast now.
You see, but
he wants to do it with stuff that he loves.
Yeah.
I was like, I told him, I said, I want to help you. I said, but I'm going to show you how to do it.
Desiree, you're leading the way. That's the way they learn. This is the way they do things, and that's the way they grow up.
I know, but I'm like, I'm only one person. I'm going to have to, get you, your own setup, you know, all the things.
Yeah.
I told him, you're going to have to start planning. You're going to have to start, you know, thinking about topics.
Yeah.
He's 10. But I also want to be able to encourage him as well as a young boy, and it eventually once becomes a young man, to use his voice in a positive way.
So he's still confident, and you want him to be confident, and
and I want him to be able to not be confident in with his own voice as well, because I think that's something as Latinas or the Latin community I was raised to not, you know, you're only seen, children are seen, not heard, right? That mentality.
Stay still.
Yeah. I've been doing a lot of different parenting, and my mom's like, oh God. She's like, you let him talk to you like that? And I'm like, well, it's not that I'm letting him talk to me like that, but if he's upset, yes, I have boundaries. No, you can't yell at me. But if you're upset, you can tell me you're upset. And you can be upset about whatever happened. And I'm going to be okay with that.
Yeah.
And my mom's kind of like, like, no. And, it is hard because I do have that upbringing as well.
Yeah, it is. It's going to be different for you to manage a different conversation with your kid when you didn't know how to express yourself as a little girl more than you do as an adult, but you want him to express yourself so he doesn't have suppressants of that you still even have now as an older woman. I get it. As a Latina, we're like, oh, should I speak up? Maybe I shouldn't. Because we weren't really allowed to do that when we were younger, right. But you want them to speak up.
Yeah, and then we get into these scenarios of adults where we should speak up for ourselves, but we still are scared. My 9 to 5 that I used to have, I was put in a lot of different situations where I kind of had to speak up. I finally was like, you know what? I can't no longer be silent.
Yeah.
And I have to say, you know what? I think I'm going to take some of the blame. I'll take some of the blame and say, you know what? Maybe I let things slide a little bit too much and didn't tell you exactly how I felt because, I'm so used to it. I'm so used to people making comments about my race or comments about my people. And I ended up having to tell my boss, like, yeah, there were some things that I let slide that I probably should have said, not cool, man. But now, like anybody, everybody has a breaking point.
Yeah.
You've kind of crossed that line.
Yeah.
And I was pretty much called by my coworkers and by him to some extent that I was the worst Mexican ever.
Shut up.
Because I didn't speak Spanish and I didn't know how to make quesadillas.
Apparently. Because
I was using a quesadilla maker that was literally bought for me as a wedding gift from another Mexican.
The other Mexican said, we have it covered for you, girl. You ain't got to sit there and flip up. But yeah, I mean, why would you? That's so stupid.
Yeah, and it's just like, and I grew, it got to the point where I was kind of like, I need to just like stop this. And because, it's going to turn into resentment or whatever
on yourself. Yeah and you're gonna end up getting frustrated with yourself over things that yes, that's right. Yes, because I do that. I'm frustrated at myself because I didn't do this, because I didn't do that, and now they're doing this, but I didn't stop it, and I didn't know that.
And so it was actually probably one of the defining points of me also leaving my job. I was like, I'm not really happy. I'm not getting treated the best. He did apologize. I took his apology. I said, no, it's fine. Not that it's fine, but, thank you for apologizing and addressing it. But, this is just not the place for me. This is not where I should be. And realize that, I'm in control. I like they say, we are all in control of our own happiness, right? Nobody else is. You can't rely on other people to make you happy. You can only make you happy. And I really gave myself that permission to say, you know what, Desiree? Nobody's forcing you to stay here. Nobody's making you to stay here.
Yeah.
You just gotta just say when to some extent. And I did. And that was April of 2021. So it hasn't even been a year.
Yeah.
And actually, I kind of went checked in on them last week just to say hi. What's going on?
Curious, how was they? How were they?
Oh, they're fine. They're great. Yeah. But that's kind of how it always is. Well,
the thing is that when you go back and you check in with the people, maybe they do like their job, but they're still doing what they're doing. They're still there. You know what I mean? And it is, yeah.
Well, the questions are, what are you doing now? I mean, I could tell them all the things I'm doing. Would it really...
Do they care?
Would it really care? Would they really be mattered? Will they even understand? Maybe, maybe not. I mean, just I'm doing, social media and all that. And, I've also learned throughout my life working corporate America or 9 to 5 or whatever you want to call it, that I've just always, I think they're the most curious about, like, how am I surviving?
Oh.
Like, how am I making money?
Okay.
And I'm like, well, first of all, it's none of your business. You know, like, anybody who's that concerned, who's not paying my bills, right? These people are not paying my bills. So what is it? What's it to you?
Yeah.
And it's like, you know, I have my own ways of, you know, doing what I have to do for my family or whatever it is.
Yeah.
You know, am I having an influx of money? No, right? But that is the life that I've chosen.
Yeah.
And actually, something I shared with my boss, I told him, well, my ex-boss, I told him, I said, whatever happens in what I'm doing now, if I succeed, it's going to be because of me. If I fail, it's going to be because of me. Not because of anybody else. Not because I didn't get trained properly or I didn't do this right or whatever. It's going to be because of me. And I'm willing to take that risk. I'm willing to put the work in. I probably have worked more over the last year than I ever had even at that job. And so, yeah, I was like, it's not because... And the mentality there was always like, what does she do? What does she do in that office? You know, like, I'm busy, but they just never understood, like, I didn't seem busy enough.
Okay.
You know, I was never, like, busy enough to their standards, right? I'm like, well, what's she doing in the office? I'm like, well, you want to know what I'm doing? Here you go. I quit. You get to know everything that I did. And then they realized, oh, shit, you did a lot. I made it look easy because for me it was easy. It wasn't anything. It was no sweat off my back.
I'm telling you, sometimes, and you know, but I like the way you take things in stride, Desiree. I like your attitude. I like the patience you have and the way you take this in stride and the way you just can make, I don't know, like make things out of what things have been served.
Right.
Just make things the way they are. Yeah. Pero Desiree, all right. So before I wrap this one up, before I wrap up this episode, is there anything that I missed that you would like to share, or do you have any parting thoughts, or what would you tell? You answer whatever you want to answer, or what would you tell a Latina who was in your situation 5 years ago?
Ooh. What would I tell a Latina that was in my situation 5 years ago? Really think about what the next 10 years of your life is going to look like for you. Are you still going to be in that same spot, same position, or are you going to be doing something bigger and better? Or do you have dreams to do something bigger and better? Because for me, I was like, I am not staying in this place for 10 years. I saw no long-term value. And I knew that I was there for comfort to some extent, because it was comfortable, it was safe, it was easy, and you know, it was all of those things. So if anybody that's in my position that I was in at that time, I would tell them, really think about your life, really think, and not like just like a dream per se, but really think, okay, in 10 years, are you still going to be in a better spot than you were if you weren't at this place? Like I told you previously, I was at this job and I had no benefits. I had no 401k. I had no insurance. In 10 years, if I would have stuck it out, I would still be in that same spot. So, like, leaving was probably the best thing I could have done.
Yeah.
You know, because now I'm doing things that are making me happy, and I have now a little bit more control of, okay, I can set myself up for 401k on my own.
Yeah.
I can set myself up for insurance on my own if I need to. There's other avenues, and I think sometimes we rely so much on these 9 to 5s or corporate jobs to take care of those things. But is it really worth it?
Yeah.
In 10 years, is it going to be worth it? So, yeah, that's what I would tell somebody. Like, really think about the next 10 years of your life. And if you still see yourself sitting there pushing papers, by all means, stay there.
Yeah.
But if you see yourself wanting to do more with your life, take the plunge.
God, that's a really good advice. Consider your situation and make adjustments if that's what you need to do. I asked you because we picked up on the 35 age and the difficulty and stuff like that. So in 5 years, see yourself completely separate and different from where you are now. I think you put into the universe earlier. Okay, so one last question, then I'll let you go, Desiree. You can go back home to your kids and your husband, and we'll close this out. Okay.
Okay.
Do you consider yourself a Latina leader?
Yes.
Why?
Because I am sharing my voice to support other Latinas as well, obviously, but to be not necessarily a spokesperson, but just to be the face of what I can do. And that is sharing my voice and my inspiration for others and my love for people. I really do love hearing people's journeys and stories. And I think that's something that's in our culture that we love. We really do love our families and stuff like that, and sharing it with other people.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I do consider myself a Latina leader. And if I don't claim it, who else is, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I have to claim it.
Yeah.
And why not? Because to me, it's something that I never saw. And, I never had, other than my mom, right? We have our moms. Those are our role models. But, I want to hopefully inspire my own boys. One day they might have children. I might have a little grandbaby girl.
Among them, yeah.
Among them. And I want her to say, I want my son to say, my mom was a Latina leader.
Yeah.
Like, she drove her path.
Yeah.
And so, I don't think about just here and now. I think about, those ancestors before me and that are going to be after me as well.
And where you leave your mark. Yep.
And where I leave my mark.
Yeah.
So if I don't say it, it's only going to make me be stronger for my community. If I can't say it, then how can I even tell another Latina to be strong?
Yep.
Yep. I have to be that role model to some extent. Gotta walk the walk, talk the talk.
Yeah.
Is it easy? No. It's not easy all the time.
We're at a place where we're each other's role models, and we're like, they're just a few steps ahead or a few steps behind. We're each other's, like I said. We just got to keep pulling on that rope and grabbing girls and women and girls up.
Yeah.
Keep pulling them up. Yes. Okay. All right. So where can we find you, Desiree? And what should we expect? Where can we, if I wanted to, if I'm here listening to this, where can I find you?
So you can find me on my Let's Vámonos page, which is at Let's Vámonos. And you can also find me on my personal page. I do have a personal page. It's not as fun as Let's Vámonos, at least I don't think it is. But it's mostly my kids and my family, my husband. And that's Desiree Celestina. That's my first and middle name.
Okay.
So you can find me there. And then I do have Chingon and the Burbs, which is my alter ego.
Okay.
And so Chingon and the Burbs on Instagram as well. So those are all my Instagram pages.
Okay.
I'm on Facebook, but don't friend me on Facebook.
Okay. She's on Instagram. Find her on Instagram. All right. Yeah. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for being here with me tonight and having a conversation with me. Before you go, can you do one thing? Just wave at my camera. Bye. Thanks for joining.